Greetings, I am Mischa Toland from Greatness Now. Thank you so much for tuning into our weekly inspirational message. The topic for today's message is Parents, Let's Parent. Some weeks ago, the country was astonished, amazed, and even angered as we watched a young man literally be beat to death by his peers in the middle of the street with 2x2s and 4x4s. It was absolutely unbelievable to watch how these young people beat this young man to death. And while I too was one of the ones who was angry, what made me more disturbed was the White House's response to this situation. Yes, it was one thing to send high-ranking officials to Chicago to talk with the superiors there about what they can do about reforming schools. It was another thing to then promise thousands of dollars to follow the conversation. But you know what? Until we begin to hold parents accountable for parenting our young people, all of the White House officials and all of the money in the world is not going to give our children what they need when it comes to the void they feel from absentee parents. Now, I don't know any of the young people that beat this young man to death. But you know what I do know from 20 years of doing this work? If you show me a young person that's angry, I will show you a young person who's missing someone valuable in his life, someone who did not teach him about the value of human life, and someone who did not teach him the power of love. Because you know why? Love and hate can't occupy the same space. And so today, really quickly, I just want to encourage us as parents to step up to the parenting plate and hit a home run every day so that our young people can get what they need from us. First thing I want to encourage us to do as parents is to acknowledge our need for help, support, and intervention. If you are a parent and you're going through and you're feeling overwhelmed, pick up the phone and call somebody. The last thing you can afford to do is just turn your back on your children, because what you don't give them, they then go into the streets and look for. I was a single parent. I understand what it means to be overwhelmed. I also was a teen parent. I understand what that feels like. But what I don't understand is parents who, again, turn their back on their responsibility to their children. The second thing I want to encourage us to do as parents is to get help with respect to being able to forgive and be better than your parents were. Oftentimes, parents will tell me, you know, Mischa, my parents weren't there for me. Nobody taught me how to show love and affection to my children, so I don't know how to give it to them. You know what? I'll tell people that's an excuse that I will not accept, because regardless of what your parents didn't give you, you now have a responsibility as a grown person to learn how to do what they may not have known how to do. Don't make any more excuses. Be able to forgive your parents. And I know some of the things they did to you were really, really painful, but how long? How long are you going to stay stuck in that pain while your children are become the sacrificial lamb for your pain? The other thing I want to encourage you to do, and this may not sound the most friendly coming from Mischa, but it's something that I contemplate and pray about all the time. If you know that you're unable to effectively manage and take care of the children that you have, whether it's one or two, don't have any more. Why keep having children if you know the burden and the overwhelming feeling that comes with managing 2 and 3 and 4 and 5? And guess what? You can control it. It's not like somebody puts a gun to your head and makes you have these children. I need you to take responsibility for that, because it's not fair to our children to come into a world that they didn't ask to come to, only for you to decide you can't handle it. The final thing I want to do, because I am an inspirer and I would not leave you upset with me, is to ask you to visit our website at greatnessnow.org and purchase our new book called 31 Days of Inspiration for Struggling Parents. It's a wonderful book. What it seeks to do is just to give inspiration and support to parents who on a day-to-day may not have the support that they feel like they need. It may not answer all of your parenting questions, but I know what it will do. It will inspire you. As I close out, one of the things I want to say, and I've shared this with my husband and other people, and we've talked about this topic of this beating, this death of this young man, is that if you show me a young person who's hurting, I'm going to show you a young person who does not have what they need at home. So many times our young people fight and they kill, and they don't mean to hurt the people that they're fighting. What they are doing is taking out on the person that they're fighting, the anger that they really have on the person that's not available for them. Example, if I never knew my dad, if my mom is in and out of my life on drugs, I can't beat them to death. I can't take this pain of abandonment and neglect that I feel out on them because they're not around. So what I then do is I go and beat to death a young man who has nothing to do with my pain. Do you all get my point? Do you see why it's so important for us as parents to wrap all the love that we can around our children so that we can keep them safe and they don't go out and do harm to other people's children who have nothing to do with their pain? I love you so much, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Again, I am Mischa from Greatness Now, www.greatnessnow.org.